Something I definitely want for this tank is a flipper. If you've got like a medium or a small flipper, it will really let you clean the glass very nicely. Particularly in this position, it's not going to be the most practical to clean ever. So a little flipper would be a must for me. So make sure you've got a gravel cleaner. So when you're doing a water change, I generally want to change about 1/4 of the water. Now over time we want to be testing the water, and if we test the pH and the KH, because over time the acids from the animal make them fall, then we want to check the ammonia and nitrite. The ammonia and nitrite will tell us if our filter is working properly, and then we want to check the nitrate and phosphate. Now the nitrate and phosphate over time will build up, so if it starts getting higher you need to be doing more regular water changes. So if you change 1/4 of the water using a gravel cleaner, then you get your 20-litre bucket. You're just going to add a little bit of water ager, a little bit of GH salt, a little bit of KH powder if required, and then we don't want KH to run at 0. So then if we started off doing say a little water change every 2 to 4 weeks, but then over time as the animals get larger you might find that your nitrate and phosphate starts coming up further. So in that case there are various medias you can put in the filter to get rid of nitrate and phosphate. You could also improve the biological media and consider putting in something like marine pure into this filter. So there's many things that you can actually do. But once again, the more animals you've got and the more waste they produce, then the more often you need to be doing water changes. And how often you need to do water changes is going to be governed by your nitrate and phosphate level. So if your nitrate and phosphate start to elevate, you need to do more water changes. If your nitrate and phosphate is under control, then you could even consider doing less. Now when you first turn a canister on, if it's a bit noisy, it's usually because there's air in it. So you've got to sort of rock it around and get all the air out of it, and then it should be very silent. I will say with canisters too, a lot of the time it is what you pay for. Your cheaper ones you do tend to have more issue with, whereas you do pay more for something like an Aquael. But usability, it is worth it, but you do have to pay more for them, which is a bit how it goes. So right now that's a little bit noisy, but I'm hoping that as you can hear the air getting sucked out. Once the air sucks out, it should get quite quiet. Now, one of the most important things to be aware of is surface agitation. So right now you can see the pump very clearly pumping and it's agitating the surface. What we never want is a really flat surface, because then the gas can't exchange. We want a really well agitated surface just like this, because what we have to be aware of is the filter is going to grow lots of bacteria in it, and then the bacteria is going to suck all the oxygen out of the water while it's oxidizing all the waste. So it's important that your surface agitates as the filter is going back in, and that's going to re-aerate the oxygen that the filter itself actually takes out of the water. And then in this case we've also got a bubbler, and that provides the actual aeration. If you ever get stains like that on the glass, like a calcium deposit, then using a bit of citric acid is a wonderful way of getting any stains like that off. And then trying to do it regularly is the key. So now we just have to be a little bit patient. No food for the next couple of days. We just keep an eye on them. Now, if you are worried about your fish or your walking fish, the two things that we really need you to do is grab your phone, make a little video of the situation. And in the video, what we really want to see is all your bits and pieces. We want to see any fish stuff you've got. Then you bring us a water sample down, and then we'll check on the water. Now, because this tank is only brand new, because we've only just put them in here today, then the things that we're going to have to watch, I would definitely want to get a thermometer. So a thermometer, you just stick it on the glass just to keep an eye on the temperature. And we've got a heater, but it's not in the aquarium. So we really want to keep the tank a cooler, sort of 18 degrees or whatever that's cooler. And then we want to just keep a good eye on the animal. If we're worried about it, we want to video it and bring a water sample down to see us. And once again, if the ammonia or nitrite has come up, that would be a result of the filter not having enough good bacteria in it, which over time, that's likely to improve. Otherwise, there is various media that you can get that's actually better. Then as far as pH is concerned, Sydney tap water tends to have a high pH and a low KH. So over time your pH does tend to drop. So that's why it's important just to bring a water sample every sort of 2 to 4 weeks, particularly at the start, to just check the water's okay. Because if the water starts to go out, then over time the animal will suffer. And as far as the health of the animal is concerned, it's basically 50% water quality, which we can help you manage with a video and a sample, and it's 50% food quality. So it's really important you feed good quality food. They also love earthworms, bloodworms, and various frozen foods that you can feed them as well. And they do have their own preferences and temperament. So like for example, we've got a couple of different foods to feed, and it's really going to come down to these individuals, how much they like that particular food, because they can be quite fussy. Some of them will just be gluttonous and eat anything. Other ones can actually be very fussy. That guy, he's gone and hid inside the little pipe. Where is he? He's not showing himself. So the white one's inside there, the gold one's there. And we turn the light out most of the time. It's better to have the light out. And once again, some are very temperamental, and some just seem to be hardy as hell. So a lot of keeping walking fish is the luck, what the walking fish's personality is like. So the filter does seem to be getting more quiet, but if you did want a dead silent filter, Aquael makes some really good filters that are dead silent. They're just going to cost a little bit more, but if it's in the vicinity of a bedroom, then it can be worth it to spend a little bit more and get a dead silent filter. Otherwise, some people actually like the sound of fans, or it just depends on you. I mean, my brother loves sleeping to a sound of a buzzing, humming sound. He loves sleeping to that. Other people hate it. Who's dude? What a cool little animal. What's he doing? Is he going to come out and visit us? Here he comes. What an awesome animal. So once again, just watch the belly. Right now this guy is looking good. He's a little bit on the thin side. Once again, no food for the first couple of days. And I'm really a fan of hand feeding them, or at least just placing the food down in front of the animal. And then if it doesn't eat the food, don't put more food in. Because what we don't want is food rotting in the aquarium. Because if we allow food to rot in the aquarium, then it will increase your ammonia and nitrite level, and then we could end up killing the animals because they're not very tolerant to bad water quality. So if you want good water quality, the key is make sure it's tested. If you just take a little water sample down to your local aquarium shop, particularly if they've got a spin test, the spin tests are wonderful because they'll check the water in like literally 2 minutes and it will tell you everything you need to know. So pH, KH, GH, ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, and temperature. They're the things I want you to be aware of. And you don't need to know these things, but you do need to take a water sample to someone that does, just so you can be given advice. It's funny too with their temperament. Some of them actually seem very smart. They seem to work stuff out very quickly. Some of them just seem really dumb. Like they'll repeatedly run into the wall, or they'll just not appear to learn quickly. In general, they get along well together. Occasionally, might bite each other's legs off, and you hear stories of the legs growing back and stuff. That'd be cool if that could happen to me. So they're not actually a fish. Now, they're an amphibian, but basically, in the wild, they can turn into salamanders. So if the water dries up, they can drop their gills, take up their lungs, and they can then become salamanders. But salamander is not their most natural state, and they don't want to be salamanders. They actually want to live, breed, and survive their whole life underwater. That's how they're happiest. And dropping of the gill is a very traumatic situation for them, and they only really do that as a survival instinct. They don't do it because they want to. They much rather just cruise around in the water. He'll get to know his environment soon enough, and he'll navigate it quite well. Once again, during the day, a lot of the time they're just sleeping. Some individuals you'll find are more active at night time. And make sure you don't put any catfish with them that might try to suck on them. And you don't want any fish that might pick on their frills. This one's got a beautiful big set of frills, and that helps them breathe with their gills. Absolutely beautiful. Watching one of these cruise around is something you just never get sick of. So this guy's being quite active at the moment, and this guy's, well, he's decided to start moving too. And that's why having more than one of them is pretty cool, because you're more likely to have one cruising around. So in regards to handling them, it's definitely not recommended. Lots of kids want to pat them and treat them like a dog or a lizard, but they're really not. You're really better off watching them. And the other thing to be aware of, a lot of people read books and read the internet and tell you all about what they should do, but at the end of the day what they should do is exactly what they do, because they've got their own temperaments, their own personalities, and your job is to watch, make sure they're healthy, make sure they're safe, and they do what they do. They don't always do what the internet says they should.